Welcome back. I am excited today because I am one of those people that absolutely is not for painkillers, medication. Let's take this, let's take this, let's take this. Like, I believe that modern medicine could be the root cause of all suffering. My mom had a small problem 27 years ago. She got a mental issue. And we had no idea. We didn't know about healing. We didn't know about anything really. So we went to the hospitals. And my mom started meds. My mom was the most active person, most ambitious person. She was running around like there's no tomorrow. We call her a hustler. I probably got the hustler blood from my mom. A year after, mom develops diabetes from the drugs that she was taking for mental. And we said, okay, cool. We went to the doctors again. She got more medication. I can't remember the time there, but years later, mom got high blood pressure. And we did the same thing that we did when she got the first problem. We went back to the meds. And today, mom takes about 15 tablets a day. She's 65. But if you see her now, you'll appreciate what modern medicine can do. I believe that it is my life calling to save my mom. And that's probably why I do this work, to really discover all these experts who do this work. But I really think I want to get mom off meds. It is no surprise today that I do have Carleigh in the studios because Carleigh is an expert for that. How do you heal yourself without medicine? But before we jump into Carleigh's work, we have over 3,000 views today. And more than 90% of those people who have viewed the episodes have not subscribed. So if that's you, could you please stop, pause, and subscribe? This is why subscribing is important. When you subscribe, one, more people like you get to see the information. Two, when you subscribe, the community grows. When the community grows, I can play a bigger game. I can bring better speakers. I can serve you better. If I go and ask any speaker to come on the stage, the first question they ask is, how big is the community? And if you subscribe, the community can grow. And I can bring on better people. The world's best kept secret is my life work. And I want it to be the biggest and most impactful community that has ever happened. Because this is what I find in the world. The information is there. The strategies are there. If people wanted to get it, they would. If people wanted to transform their lives, they would. We all know how to lose weight. But look around you. People are seriously overweight. Why? Because they're human beings and they get in the way. And so this channel exists to bring you experts who can help you get out of your way so you can change your life. And it operates on one principle. You sharing the information with one person that can benefit from it. That's the whole channel. And so if you subscribe, you begin the ripple effect of really us changing the world. If everyone was healed and whole, I guarantee you the business coach would have better results. The marriage coach will have better results. The parenting coach will have better results. Everybody could just be better if we all got out of our way, healed, and became whole. And so it's my humble request that you subscribe and become part of the community, because it tells me that you are building this together. And together we're changing this world. Because one day this channel will be 1 million subscribers plus. I want you to look back and say, we did it. Carleigh, welcome to the World's Best Kept Secret. I am really excited to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Carleigh is one of those people that really light me up. Imagine what we could all do if we could tap into the inner part of us that can heal. She believes everyone is a healer of themselves. But we don't know. I don't know. Maybe you don't know how to tap into those healing abilities. And so today I'm really very curious because I want to tap into her work of how do we start to heal ourselves. She helps people with anxiety. She helps people with depression. She helps people reverse all those conditions that people are on meds for. Carleigh is living with bipolar, successfully living with bipolar. And I'm going to be digging in because some of these diseases, like a bipolar, we believe you have to have medication for it. Like there is no cure for it. And I think today she's going to kind of challenge some of my myths, what I believe and what I don't believe, because she's living proof that we don't need to depend on modern medicine. Carleigh, I would love for you to tell the listener exactly what you do, because I just have this outside shell of it. Oh, we can't heal without medicine. But tell the listener what you do. I would love for them to really hear it from you.
Do is show people how to heal their mind from anxiety, depression, bipolar, how to manage all of these things without using medication. And what that really means is I show people how to build a lifestyle around their healing journey so that they can live a healthy, happy, high functioning life without using pharmaceuticals, just like myself.
Wow. Who exactly are you for? Is it everybody and anybody who's living with like a chronic illness, or do you have a specific type of person that your work speaks to?
So definitely mental health is where I focus on for sure. That's my main area of expertise. Now, that being said, mental and physical health are very intertwined. As we know, the mind and body are not separate from one another. But ultimately, the people that I really help are people who have big dreams and desires, but they're held back because of their own mental health, whether that's the depression, the anxiety, ADHD, bipolar disorder. They know that there's more for them and they don't want to turn towards medication. So people who work with me need to be really ready to take action in their lives and get out of their own way and let go of being comfortable in their own misery to step into bigger and better things and really show up to do the work that it takes to heal.
I love it. I like to think that Carleigh's work is for you who is just tired. You're just tired of modern medicine, like I am. I'm really tired of seeing my mom look like she's 80 when she's 65. I'm just tired of not recognizing who my mom is anymore. I am just tired of a new complication every other day. And I am just done. I am just open to a new way of reversing her direction. Because my mom never had any eating habits. She never had any addictions. She was like someone who ate clean. So it's my belief that she deserves better. And I'm just tired. Or you're probably just someone who is open to a new way of looking at illness and how to heal that. So you're either just open, like a student of life, like I am, or you have a loved one that really, really concerns you, or you're just tired of medication. Let's just put it like that. So, Carleigh, tell me, what is the problem with relying on modern medicine? Why is it not a good idea?
Well, taking a pill every day to, and we're specifically talking about mental health here, but taking a pill to kind of rebalance, not actually getting to the root cause of the problem. You're not actually dealing with the underlying wound that is causing these mental health symptoms. You're putting on this kind of Band-Aid over the symptoms. And I recognize that sometimes medication can be really effective for saving someone's life and for maybe helping someone to build up the energy to actually take the steps on their healing journey, especially if there's, severe depression and a really strong lack of energy. If you have no energy to put in the steps, the medication can be kind of used as training wheels. But when we become dependent on it and it becomes seen as the solution, and it's like, oh, I just take this pill every day and I can keep living the same way and, eating the same crap food and not moving my body and working the same job that doesn't fulfill me and, continue with this lifestyle that is probably the reason you're feeling so low in the first place. Taking the pill isn't going to change all of that. So even though you might be a little bit less depressed, you're probably also a little bit numbed and maybe not feeling like yourself. And all these other areas have to shift to kind of accommodate for the pills, but they are not the actual answer to healing. There's no true healing going on from that medication. It's kind of a band-aid on the symptoms. And again, can be helpful to enable you to find that energy to put in the steps to really truly heal. But ultimately, relying on that medication is not healing, in my perspective.
I love that. Like, I totally see it. I think medication, the way I look at it, is relief. It's first aid. It's short term. How do we keep things moving? But as you said, it's not a long term thing. It does not. I believe medication or modern medicine does not uproot the cause of the problem. It's my belief, honestly. Like, it does not, because I look at my mom every day and I go, because some of the things she's having is something brought by the previous medicine. And that is where, for me, my wires go off. Like, she had one problem, then she got two problems, she got four, she got six. Now she has 10 problems. And it's weird, because every time she goes to the hospital, there's a new pill to be added. And I really cannot wait to dive in. So tell me then the process of reversing, for example, bipolar. Is it reversing, or is it like in bipolar case, is it reversing it, or is it maintaining it or living with it the same way you would with medication, but without medication?
Yeah, so I've never used the term reversing it. I guess I've never really thought about it that way. I like to say that I manage my mind without medication, because it is, bipolar is a chronic illness. And I don't really like using those terms, but it does mean that my brain will essentially always have the capacity to either experience really high highs or really low lows. And my work is essentially to keep myself at a healthy baseline with a really strong self-awareness and a lot of tools. So I notice if I'm going, anywhere outside of that baseline, whether it's a little bit lower or a little bit higher, what can I do to bring myself back and keep myself in this functional, happy, healthy baseline? And it's the same with anxiety. It's the same with depression. Like, a lot of people who experience depression will experience it again later in their life, especially if they're not maintaining that high level of mental health and really checking in with themselves closely. But there's so much that you can do in terms of preventative medicine, which is really what I'm all about, is working to stay on top of maintaining mental wellness so that it doesn't get to the point where you have a really low low or a really high high in the case of bipolar. And then you need to seek external help, which normally, if you're going to modern medication centers like a GP or the hospital or a psychiatrist, that external help is going to come in the form of a little pill that they tell you to take every day. If you're doing all of the lifestyle pieces and all of the deep transformational work to rewire your brain and build up that internal resilience, you don't need to go and ask for that little pill.
So what you're saying is your work is more of self-management, replacing pills with self-management. So other than anxiety, depression, and bipolar, is there like a list of other things that this work will help with, or is it mental illness? Another way to look at everything related to mental illness, or is it am I bracketing your work too wide and you want it to be a little bit narrow?
I think that it really depends. Look, the work that I teach will help anyone to enhance their well-being, absolutely anyone and everyone. But my expertise really lies in those four. Really, I don't talk about ADHD much, but I have overcome in my lifetime depression, anxiety, ADHD, and bipolar disorder, among substance abuse and disordered eating, and a lot of things that are mixed into that bag of my mental health experience, all of which I have not used pharmaceuticals for. So in saying that, while my focus is mental health, the things that I teach, again, will help anybody to manage stress, to deviate away from burnout and make sure that that doesn't happen, to just ultimately help people become the happiest, healthiest, most high functioning versions of themselves. But specifically, the clients that I work with are the people who are struggling with the anxiety and depression and bipolar, and who don't want the modern medication. They want a holistic route, because really this work is all about looking at how every area of your life is influencing your mental well-being. And so much of that is also affecting your physical well-being, right? Like we said, mind and body are so connected. But my area of expertise and what I really focus on is the mental health side of things, the neuroscience side of things.
I love that. Wow. I love that. Like everything starts in the mind. Everything starts with your mental health. And you can either bounce off a pill or you can just manage without the pill. I love this because for me, I know what pills can do. I know the more problems you can run into. I know how there's a way that they just numb people down, if I can say that. There's a way that they take away, I don't know, they take away the energy from the person or the activity levels and drop it to like, I don't know what. I love that. Okay. I know you do have a process that you take people through, which is like your thoughts, leadership. And I would love for you, if it's okay, to go through that and kind of let us see how it works. Because most of us probably have never thought about it, or are like, oh my God, I have a mental problem. There is no way I can possibly stop the pills. The doctors told me this is a lifetime situation, and all of those things. I would love for you to go through your process of how you take people from this place where they're emotionally out of shape to a place where they are self-managing and can just go through life without, having to wear the label because of the so many pills that are on your desk, and having to be stigmatized, or even feeling like you're less than. Because I know what pills can do. You start to really feel less than, and some of those after effects are not really good. Like they're not really pretty. I'd love to dive into your
Absolutely. So
yeah.
It's important to note, in terms of stigmatization and feeling less than, that any sort of diagnosis can bring up those feelings, whether or not you're on medication. And I know that happened to me when I received my first diagnoses, and it became a big fear of mine that I had to walk around with a label that read mentally ill. And at that time, the only diagnosis I had was ADHD. And still, I was so afraid of the potential of my own mind. This is before I found out that I also had bipolar and all of these other things. So it's also worth noting that it's a lot easier to never start the pills than it is to actually get off them. I do have clients who come to me and they've been taking anxiety medication or antidepressants for years, and they want help getting off of them. And that is something that I can help you to build that resilience in your lifestyle to, lower your dosage. But it also does require the assistance of your psychiatrist to be monitoring you, or whoever else is involved in your mental health regime already. So really, the people that I love to work with are people who are, they're at the end of doing this on their own. They know that they need help. They don't want medication. And they're like, what is my other option? And I'm like, come here, let me hold your hand and walk you along this journey, because here is what's exactly worked for me. So like you said, I've created this 8-step program. I call it the 8 simple steps to naturally heal your mind. Now, it is simple. This stuff is simple, but that doesn't mean that it's easy. It does require a deep dive and showing up and being vulnerable and really meeting yourself and your shadows to come through the other side. So I can walk you through these 8 steps, just talking briefly about each one.
That'll be really
Step
good.
number 1.
Yeah,
awesome. Step number 1, and something that absolutely everybody, or at least definitely most people on our planet, really benefit from enhancing, is developing a self-love journey. And the reason this is step number 1 is because when you truly learn to love yourself, and I know this was true for me, when you truly learn to love yourself and to show up with compassion and forgiveness, it makes it so much easier to find the motivation to put in the work to do the remaining steps. When you love yourself, it's easier to make yourself get out of bed and do the thing you need to do because you know it's good for you. And because you're acting from this place of love and wanting to move forward on your healing journey because you know that you deserve to heal. So that's really where it needs to begin. And there's so many different tools and practices that you can use. Even just practicing affirmations of things that you like about yourself, starting to notice, when other people compliment you or say nice things, really taking that on and recognizing what other people love in you. Mirror gazing is a beautiful one, to just stare into your own eyes in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you. It can feel really cheesy. It can feel really silly and uncomfortable, but it's so powerful when you start to actually feel that love and compassion for yourself. So that's step number one. Step number two, and this is really the only time in coaching, because I'm a coach, not a therapist. A lot of essentially the difference between therapy and coaching is that therapy is often very past focused. It's very, what has happened to you to get you to this point. And that is super relevant, of course, in anyone's healing journey. But more of what coaching is saying, here's where you are and here's where you want to be. So how can we take tangible steps to get you to where you want to be? That said, step number two is actually all about owning your past and accepting what has happened to you. And the reason for this is that so many of us, and again, this was especially true for me, carry around baggage, like suitcases on our shoulders of all of these past traumas and things that have upset us and grudges that we're carrying for other people and just things that we have not either accepted, like we're in denial about them, or we've repressed them, or we haven't let them go. And when you're carrying that baggage and guilt and resentment, it's not a clean slate to move forward from. And it can really perpetuate, especially depression. Depression's very backwards focused, but it can also bring up so many worries about what if this happens again? Or what if this person treats me like that again? So step two is really about starting to accept and own your past instead of letting it own you. Step three is when we start to clear out that gunk. So you can essentially think of it as, if you have an infection on your arm, when you go to the hospital, the first thing they're going to do is open up that wound. And that's step number two, is you start opening things up. Step three is you start actually cleaning out the gunk that's in there and letting it go. And this is physically, energetically, emotionally starting to look at where you've been storing all of this stuff in your body, in your mind, releasing that, starting to shift your thought patterns to ones that you actually want to be cultivating instead of the 95% that have just been playing on repeat every day and are normally not very helpful for you. We start to really shift those things up and make space for a new way of being to come into your life. So now we're on step 4, which is where we start to really welcome in the healing in the form of your lifestyle. And it's all about starting to connect with your body. Again, as I was saying, the body and mind are so interrelated. So this is where you start learning about how your exercise, your nutrition, your sleep, how these things are really influencing your mental health. And for everybody, this is going to look different, but I promise that no matter what is going on in your life, if you start exercising, unless you already exercise a lot, if you start exercising a little bit more, and that's not already a regular part of your routine, if you check in with your nutrition and start eating in a way that really fuels your body, and you start having better quality sleep, it will enhance your life. Whether you're struggling with mental health or stress or nothing at all, it will help you feel better. So when you are struggling with mental health, it just becomes even more important to bring in these aspects of self-care and really prioritize them every single day. So step 4 is all about connecting to the body. Step 5 is where we start to really look into nourishing the mind. And this is through things like meditation and mindfulness, and starting to really witness and notice our thoughts so that, again, we can start to shift them. It's prioritizing getting out and spending time in nature, because that is it has profound effects on your mental health and well-being and physical health as well. But again, we're focused on the mental here. It's having a look at your social structures and noticing how you feel when you're hanging out with certain people. What's that experience like for you in your body and mind? And how do you want that to feel? And how can you enhance your social life to be surrounded by people who inspire you? Step 6 is all about really letting yourself be selfish. And it's essentially just really starting to prioritize all of these aspects of self-care and making them, letting yourself and your healing journey become your number one priority. So it's kind of revisiting that step 1 of self-love. And it's just showing you how when you prioritize your own healing journey, everyone around you benefits. And this is especially important for anyone who's a parent, or if you're managing a team at work, or if you have a partner. We all have relationships in our lives. We're very social creatures. And when you put yourself first, all the relationships around you will flourish, because you'll have more to give when you fill your own cup and can serve from a place of overflowing. So that's what step 6 is all about. Step 7, which people, I think this one can feel a bit scary, but there's a reason why we leave it until second last, because we've done all of this work to really build up a strong baseline of resilience. Step 7 is all about making yourself uncomfortable and really intentionally starting to dive into the things that you know are scary, that you know don't feel good in that moment, but they help you to expand your comfort zone so you can learn what you're truly capable of. So for some people, this might be something like smiling at strangers when they go for a walk. If they're struggling with social anxiety, that's really scary and really hard, but you choose things that, even though you know it's scary, even though you know it's going to be uncomfortable, you can try it, see how it feels, and then learn that it's okay and expand your comfort zone from that way. And this can be anything, ice baths are a great way to push discomfort in a way that is safe, and you're going to be okay, and you're doing a good thing for yourself, but you're also making yourself uncomfortable. So that's something that, again, absolutely anyone will benefit from, starting to push their comfort zones a little bit in a way that feels safe and from a place of having a more regulated nervous system, so they're not pushing themselves into that fight or flight overdrive. And step 8 is essentially to refine, tweak, and continue practicing, because at this point, you've built a whole lifestyle around healing. You've been working in all of these new practices and really prioritizing them in your life. You've been having a look at all of the different ways that every aspect of your life is influencing your mental health. And it's just a matter of checking in and saying, okay, what's feeling good? What's maybe not feeling good? Where do I need to tweak some things? And how can I make this as sustainable as possible to keep living this lifestyle indefinitely?
I love it. I'd love to recap for you so you can kind of see how I'm receiving this, and you can tell me, oh, Prima, that I didn't quite say that, because I'm wondering now, like, for example, my family, we have 4 medics in the family. We have a doctor in the family. And this topic is a hard one, because everyone knows something about medicine apart from Prima. And so every time I bring up this topic, I feel like it is the ignorant person who is trying to challenge everybody else. And if I were doing a recap of this, my family would be like, oh my God, I can't believe she's saying that. So this is what I've heard. And I want you to say, oh, Prima, that's good, or that's not what I say. So there is 2 ways of coping with mental health, especially if you're diagnosed with something that people want to label the bipolar or whatever the thing is, anxiety, depression, you name it. There is a way to go through this as a normal person without making things worse for yourself. There's a way to really go through this like every other person who is normal. It's just that when you have a mental condition, it stops being good to have and starts being something that may have to be done. Like, you stop being someone who can go through life blindfolded when you have this diagnosis, and it becomes more of a requirement if you want your life to feel more normal, if it makes sense. You have to be intentional about it. And there's 8 steps that Carleigh has formed over her lifespan, because she's had to deal with these things through the school of hard knocks. Like, she's battled through these things all through her life. And what she's really teaching is something from her sweat, her tears, her frustrations, her being labeled and put in a corner of, being mentally ill, and later on standing up and saying, I won't take medication. Like, that wasn't a path that was easy to do, and she's done it, which means that she really is the person to hold you and say, yeah, people will say things, your family want to be with you, your children will say this, but there is a way. So there's 8 things. The first one is self-love. Until you begin to love yourself, everything else may be harder to do. Like, I know people in my life who I think they love everybody else more than themselves. It's like they're always trying to save everyone else, but they put themselves last. They're amazing in everyone's life. When we look at their life, it's like they're not even taking the time to breathe. And I personally think this is not self-love. I think self-love is loving yourself enough to put yourself first. Because let's look at it. If you're on a plane and the plane has a problem and you try to save everybody else without a mask, like, why would you do that? And so that's how I understand self-love. Like, until you put yourself selfishly first, everybody else that you're trying to save may not be saved. And the last thing that everybody needs is you drowning trying to save them. And so this is kind of what I pick up for the first part. The second part was owning your past. You can't change what is. But also, getting drowned in the past does not help. It's like you really can't move on in your relationships if you're still carrying all the baggage of your ex-people on your head. Before you get married, you probably dated a few people. Imagine if you carry all this baggage in your marriage. Does it really help the new person? And so this is the same thing. Carrying the baggage on your head does not really make things easier for you. So what Carleigh is saying is, there is a level of radical acceptance here, and knowing that, okay, there is a diagnosis, but this diagnosis does not define me. I don't have to be this diagnosis. The diagnosis is the diagnosis. I can choose how I move forward with this. The third is like clearing out. Mental illness or mental condition is more like having, I don't know, like we have like water pipes here. And every time there's a clog, the water can't move. So when you go in your sink and you're washing plates and the water is not moving, that is because the system down needs opening. And it's the same thing. Clearing out the junk or whatever it is really like helping your sink send water down, because there is a clogged pipe. So you have to open and remove whatever is in the way of the water moving. It's the same principle. It's like electricity. It has flow from one place to another to the bulb. If there's a problem, the bulb won't turn on. It's the same thing. We have to clear the system. We have to remove the dirt. And that's kind of the process she's talking about, which can look like many things. Can look like subconscious reprogramming. It can look like anything that really helps you clean up. But what I like about her process is she's not interested in looking in the past, which is really like my worst part, is trying to take me to 10 years or 20 years and help me find a trauma. I don't want to remember anything, because there's no big thing that happened. So why can't we just forget it and focus on where I'm going? Like, I have a problem with people who try to take me to the past, because I don't want to go there. I don't even remember what happened. So that's clearing the junk without really getting stuck in the past. Number 4 is connecting with your body. A lot of problems that we have come from the fact that we stay in our head. And so it really helps to drop from your head into your body, which can be done with tools. She mentioned exercise, nutrition, sleep. It's unfortunate that the people who need these things the most are the people who most overlook them. But when you can pay attention to what you're eating, When you can pay attention to movement, it can even just be walking every day. When you can pay attention to uninterrupted sleep, for me, this has been my medicine. Unconsciously, I exercise every day. I watch what I eat, to the fact that now when I go to the supermarket or anywhere, I just pick the thing that is good for me. Then I sleep like 8 to 10 hours a day nonstop. There's no social media. My phone stays in the living room. I don't carry my phone there. Like, these habits have been really very helpful for me and my health. But it can be in a place where these are not second nature to you, and you have to try and watch them. I would imagine they're simple for me because I do them, but I think that they wouldn't if I wasn't doing them. I think they wouldn't be second nature if they weren't part of my life, if it makes sense. So exercising doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be, can you take some steps every day? 30 minutes, just walk from here to there. What are you feeding on? Is it good for your body or not? The sleep, how long are you sleeping? What is that phone when you sleep? The farther the phone is, the better for everyone. 5, mindfulness, getting to really understand these other things like meditation, like anything, mindfulness. Who are you around? What does your environment look like? Is it good for your soul or not? That's what I think when I think about mindfulness. I think about what can you do to calm your mind, maybe. I think about solitude. I think about stillness. I think about nature. Mindfulness, like, what are you feeding your mind? I feel like we guard our cup of coffee more than we guard our mind. Why would you not leave your coffee lying in the park for everyone to pour anything, and you would consume everything on the internet and social media? It's the same. Your mind is like that cup of coffee that you guard with your life. Why would you leave your mind open to anything and everything to enter? Why? That's what we're doing when we endlessly scroll on social media, when we endlessly watch the news. That's what we're doing. Like, why would you do that? We do it. You and I do it every day. 6 was prioritizing yourself. I can't say this enough, but it requires some level of, what is the word? Prioritizing yourself requires a certain level of relentlessness. Because if you haven't been the person that prioritized yourself, people expect of you to give away your soul. So your children will expect you to give away your soul. Your wife will expect you to give. Everyone around you is used to you being self-giving, that it may be hard for them to see you prioritize yourself. And there's no way but to say you have to do it. Like, for me, I don't use my phone to receive calls. It's been 7 years. When I first started this habit, my parents, my family, everyone was like, why don't you pick your calls? And I was like, I will not. Now I don't actually pick my calls, and they know I don't pick my calls. So if they want to message me, they can. If they want to call me, I will return the call. 7 years later, it's now normal for me not to pick calls. But when I was starting that habit, everyone was screaming at me like, what are you thinking? What if somebody, and I can assure you no one has died because I don't pick my call. Every time I create a time, I return the calls, which need to be returned. No one has died from it. So what do you need to cut off to prioritize yourself? For me, it was the phone. I had to let the phone go. I had to give myself permission not to be responsible for every emergency, and that has helped a lot. 7 is pushing your comfort zones. If you have emotional highs and lows, there will be things that test you. And so this is, I think, the resilience building phase where you have to test your comfort zones and go into some of the things that you very well know will trigger you, but will help you to build that resilience so that you can go through the same things much easier next time. And the last one was refining, tweaking, optimizing, and making this a lifestyle. I think ultimately not everyone will respond to the same thing. So picking up what works and leaning more into that and turning that from an attempt to a lifestyle. Carleigh, what did I miss?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I love the examples that you used for each of them as well. I think that was really great. I think the only thing that I noticed wasn't said was just in the clear out the clutter space. I love the analogy with the pipe and also with the electricity, because our brains literally run on electricity. That's like so accurate. The only thing that was missed there is also like a physical clearing of your space and energetically clearing, because it's an act of releasing everything that has not served you to start welcoming in this new lifestyle, which really starts with step 4, when we start to look at nourishing our bodies and that relationship. And I guess something that I think I missed was that in step 6, in terms of starting to prioritize self-care, and you did touch on this, is building those boundaries and setting up your non-negotiables and learning how to really prioritize your own wellness journey with these tools that you're learning as your non-negotiables, with that piece of self-care. And otherwise, yeah, absolutely. You nailed it.
Amazing. I want my family to watch this and they'll be like, really, really. I would love for you to talk through the kind of scenarios you have seen where people have done this, even yourself, so that I know my family will be on the fence. Like, I want them to kind of see what is possible, because I know that these things are possible, but they live in the medicine, tablet, pill world. And I kind of want them to go, oh, maybe we are wrong about this. Like, the person who is like my family, I know that's how they would be feeling. Who is like, yeah, there's no way we're living, mom. Like, we can't even try, like they're not even open to trying. What could you share from the work you've done that could give that person like, something like, okay, really? Okay. Like just a bit of hope that maybe these things are possible because they have been possible for others.
Yeah, well, I'm absolutely living proof that you can live with diagnoses as significant as bipolar disorder. I planned on ending my own life when I was just 12 years old. I struggled with substance abuse and disordered eating. I was in and out of depressive episodes for all of my teenage and early adulthood years, until I discovered that I have bipolar disorder when I was 19 years old. And when I started really prioritizing my healing journey and kind of accidentally walking on this 8-step path, I'd been through the journey before I, created this program to share with others. I haven't had an episode since then. I've had this diagnosis for 8 years now. I haven't experienced depression. I haven't experienced mania since that time.
Wow.
Because that is the power of truly learning to holistically heal and learning to manage your mind. Now, in terms of the clients that I work with, again, like I mentioned, a lot of people do come to me wanting to reduce their medication. I have one client at the moment who's halfway through the program, and she's already cut her antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication in half with the okay from her doctor and everything. But she's on now a half dose. So the next step for her is to continue on the journey, continue working with these practices, and hopefully she'll be able to get off those altogether. That's her hope.
That's
and
hold on.
It's not a rare case.
That's interesting. So you don't really take people off, you win them over. So like there's grace to go, okay, now that you don't need that particular pill, but keep the rest. And so you can really keep on those pills until there's enough evidence that you can leave the pills. And did you say that in this process,
and so
the doctors
important
are involved as well? I don't know if my internet is in.
Yeah. So again, it's important to recognize that that's okay. I don't claim to be able to take people off of medication. I'm not qualified to say you can stop taking your pills. What I do and who I really love to work with are people who are struggling with their mental health, and they know they do not want to go down the route of medication, and they don't know what else to do. And it took me years of trial and error and struggling and not really knowing and not having the motivation to try things before I really figured out what to do. It took really lighting a fire under my ass and, excuse my French, experiencing a really significant and scary mental health episode where I took myself to the hospital and said, I need help right now. And they tested me for drugs because I was experiencing mania. I was really, really high. I was sober, but my brain was in a really elevated state that was scary. It took experiencing that for me to have this wake up call and go, okay, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to take medication every day for the rest of my life. So what can I do instead? I do recognize that if you're already taking medication, it is absolutely possible to come off of it. It's a harder journey than never having started it in the beginning. But most of the clients that I work with are using medication to some capacity and wanting to reduce that or come off of it altogether. But again, that does need, I'm not here saying I can help you stop your pills. I'm here saying I can show you how to heal without medication if you're not already using it. And if you do want to come off of it or reduce the dosage, that does require an okay from your psychiatrist and your doctor and anybody else who's involved in your mental health team already.
I love that. So I want, like, for me, we want, like, we've seen the repercussions, we've seen the bad side of the medicine, and we want all the help. Like, I personally want all the help I can. So it's like, okay, we can work with your doctor and they can monitor progress and we can see how everything goes. And hopefully one day we get you off the pills. And if we can't, we can take that dosage down. So I love that. Tell me more about the people you've worked with. I would love to hear that.
So a lot of them are parents. Actually, I think all of them but one of my clients have been parents. And a lot of the themes there are that for so long they've been putting everyone else above themselves, and they're experiencing anxiety and they're struggling with their mental health, and when it comes to doing anything for themselves they feel almost guilty. It's like, I don't deserve to do XYZ for myself, but I'm happy to take my shirt off my back for my kids or for my partner or for that person who I saw down the street who needed help. They're more worthy than me. So a lot of it is people who they're really struggling with the anxiety, and that comes from a place of low self-worth. And I know I can relate to that. And that's why step one is all about cultivating that self-love, because you need to be able to feel and truly know and embody that you are worthy of healing in order to put in that work and take the steps. And it's just beautiful to witness how, this one client of mine at the moment, she's a mother, and she has been telling me that without even trying, while she's doing this work, her relationship with her children is getting so much better. And they're all adults as well. She has grown children, but they're now coming to her and talking to her about whatever it is that they want to talk to her about, but really deep personal things that, a few months prior when we weren't working together, she was really struggling to maintain those relationships and didn't feel like a good mom, and also wasn't putting herself first, and just was really struggling to navigate. And now she's like, I don't even know what I'm doing differently, but my kids are coming to me and they're opening up about things, and I feel like a good mom again. And it's amazing. And that's just, a byproduct of this deep healing work that she's doing, because she's learning to be the best version of herself, and her kids are witnessing that and saying, great, I want you in my life, and let's do this thing.
It really goes beyond the mental and can change, like self-regulation goes beyond just the mental piece and can shift to every area of your life. So I really love that. In this podcast, I am in the mindset of we can give every information we have, but unless people take the step and start doing this work, all we will be is have more information. That is why there's millions and millions of podcasts out there, and we still have people really struggling with things. Before we started this, I told my guests that, everyone knows how to lose weight. It's less, walk more. Look around you though. What's happening? People know, and they're still overweight. And so in this podcast, I am in the mindset of encouraging you to share this episode with one person. And really what I want them to do is I want them to move forward. Take a step forward. Knowing and doing is not the same. So I am in the mindset of helping people take the step. towards the thing you want. Don't just know, because knowing is not doing. And the moment you know and you say, I know, what is going to happen is you get in your own way. The mind gets in the own way. The subconscious gets in the way. And you just stay in this place of knowing and knowing and knowing, and you swallow the pill till the pill swallows you. So I am in the mindset of, let's take the step. Carleigh, I would love for you to tell us how you help people. I know you support people, you hold them by the hand. I would love you to talk through, like, how does that look like in the back end? Because I want the listener to go and find a way to start with the work you do with you.
Absolutely. So essentially what I do is guide people on this journey and hold their hand through the darkness. Like, it is uncomfortable, it is challenging, it is vulnerable, and it's so powerful to have a coach who's been through it to walk you through and validate that what you're experiencing is normal and that you're on the right path. And here's the things you should try next, and, you know, tweak these things up. And a lot of it is mindset work and internal shifting. So I use NLP, I use yoga, I use breath work, and I'm bringing in sound healing to my practices as well now. It's very person specific. Everyone's journey is a little bit different, but ultimately you have the tools through my online program and you have one-on-one coaching with me. And really the best way to get started is to go and book a free call with me, and we can hop on a little one-on-one session to see how our energies resonate, see if I might be a good fit for you. And then we go from there.
I'll be putting every link that we have for you in the show notes. You may be at a place where you're not ready to book a call, and that's okay. These are the ways to learn from the guest. But I do believe that we want what we want, but the willpower is not enough. The wanting is not enough. You need a community of people who are doing this thing. You need support. You need somebody to hold your hand and tell you what you're feeling is valid. You need the tools to self-regulate. You need a custom journey mapped out for you. So we can want everything we want, but until we take the step and get the tools, we'll just get in the same place. I would like for you to check in the show notes, and what I would advise you to do is, one, book a call with Carleigh. Book a call with her. And let her help you understand something that you currently don't. Let her talk some words of encouragement in you. It's not, you don't have to work with her, but you do have to sit on that call for her to kind of share with you what she's hearing, what she's seeing, and what she would do in your situation. You don't have to proceed and work with her. But there is something that happens when you get in the room. There is something that happens when you say yes to that feeling in you that says, I can get off whatever condition I'm in. I can be better. I can take care of my life from here. There is something that happens when you wake up and you move. You get in the room. If you're not ready to book the call, I don't know, give her a follow. Connect with her on social media. Follow her work. Start, do one step, move one step forward. This information is not helpful if you won't do anything with it. Get in touch with her. Maybe there is some tools that you can do for free. Maybe there is some things that you can start to do for free, which she can give you. Don't worry about, I don't have the money. I always tell people the how does not belong to you. The yes belongs to you. So say yes and move. Don't worry about, oh my God, I am too old, I can't move. That's not your problem. Don't worry about, oh my God, I can't afford organic food. No, that's still your head getting in the way. Don't worry about, I can't afford coaching. All of those are excuses and your head getting in the way again. Move. Say yes to the call, which is why I exist. I exist to make sure that I'm encouraging you to do this. Let the how not be a problem, because the how was never yours to start with. So again, in the show notes, you will see a link. I would encourage you to book that link, because you alone, sometimes you need somebody else to be in your wheel corner. Sometimes you need somebody else to hold your hand. Sometimes when you're climbing that mountain of trying to become better, you may fall back and you need somebody to keep pulling you up until you're at a level where you can stand by your own. So answer the call, book the call, at least see if there is anything that can help you. I would love for you, Carleigh, to tell us if I was watching this and I missed everything that we've said in the last 50 or so minutes, and I was just hopping on and I just had a minute or two and that's all I'll ever hear. Would you want them to pick off from everything we've said?
That you are so worthy and capable of truly healing. Everything that you need is really within you. And it's just a matter of feeling into your self-love, cultivating that, developing your self-worth, and starting to take steps that are going to help you feel better tomorrow. You're worthy of healing.
I love it. What has been the one book that has changed your life as a person?
A book called Plant Intelligence in the Imaginal Realm. It was fascinating. It got me back into reading and it got me inspired to study neuroscience. It actually starts by talking about the brain and about neuroscience and neurochemistry, and then goes into how all of those same processes and chemicals are present in the roots of plants, which is their brain, and went into the magic of plants from there. But yeah, that book I highly, highly recommend.
Amazing. The last question is, who is the expert that you feel has had the most fundamental impact on your life?
Wow, I just had like 3 or 4 different names pop into my head, but I think fundamental impact on my life specifically was my ADHD coach from university, who I got to see when I was first diagnosed with ADHD. And he just really helped me to not only become okay with my diagnosis and learn that there's nothing inherently wrong with me just because my brain works a different way, but really helped me to start to learn how to manage my mind and my lifestyle, how I can do that differently with my ADHD. And that completely transformed my life and set me on the path that I'm on now.
The last one will be, I have read on your website that there's a healer in each of us. And from listening to you, I believe that you may be diagnosed with bipolar or anything, but you're not those things. I would love for you to speak into someone who feels like they've been labeled and they feel less than, and they feel like they're hopeless or helpless. They feel helpless in their hand because they feel like the world has put them in a corner where they don't know how to change what they call their reality, because that's what they see as a reality. What would you say to them to kind of help them see this in a different lens? Because I think lens is all people need sometimes.
In any meditation or mindfulness practice, we are practicing the art of observing the mind. And the fact alone that we can witness and be aware of and observe our minds means that you are not your mind. You are the conscious observer, the spirit that is aware of that consciousness and of those thoughts. That being said, you are so much more than your mind. And therefore, you are so much more than any diagnosis or any abnormality or any thoughts that you're having. You're so much more than any identity, any label that society has tried to put on you, any box that you're trying to fit in or trying to break out of. It is so empowering to recognize that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Everyone's brain works a little bit differently. And this is coming from someone who has bipolar disorder. There's nothing wrong with me. There is nothing wrong with you. It's all about learning to accept and still develop that self-love, that unshakable self-love, no matter what is going on in your life, unconditional self-love. when you start to really build that and accept wherever you are and whatever is going on for you, you truly learn that you're so much more than your mind or any circumstance.
Amazing. Carleigh, you've been such an amazing guest. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Prima. It's been a pleasure.
To you who's been listening to us, to you who's gone through an hour with us, I want to honor you and appreciate you for spending the time with us. There's really a million other things you could have been doing with yourself. You chose to be here, and I honor you for that. There's one thing that you can do that will make the difference in this community, and that is sharing Carleigh's message with one person that you believe could use her help. That is the entire premise of the podcast. I bring you experts that I believe have work that changes lives, and she's one of them. And the best gesture you can do is to get one person that you believe needs help. One person that is about to start meds and is just on the fence, like, I don't want to start meds. This is a person that needs Carleigh's message. There's people praying, and there is this podcast which is answering the prayer. And there is you listening because you are the vessel, you are the container in which this message is going to move. And so the way that I see this work works is someone is praying and crying every day for help. God puts that in my head and says, create a podcast where you bring people that save lives, healers, and all of these people. I create the podcast. Carleigh comes on for some reason or the other. She feels called to come on the podcast. She shares her message. You listen to the message. And the only thing I have to do is ask you to share it with one person that needs this message. That's as simple as this podcast and its message and its premise gets to be. So will you think of one person that you would love to gift with the knowing of this expert? Their healing, their life right now is in your hands. And you can just share this with them. You really never know what one episode like this can do for another human being. And so if that is all you did for me today, that would be very, very appreciated. As always, please subscribe, share, review, rate. Wherever you go, support the work and let the world know about it if you had value from it. Appreciate you, my friend. Have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you very soon. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.